Been in Padthaway since 1997, so nowhere near a local. I think they talk locals, you've got to be here about 28 years. So I've only been here about 14 years and I've been managing the corporate company for about 10 years. When I first started in regards to viticulture, some vineyards were being flood irrigated, which saw vineyards putting on probably 5 megalitres a hectare of irrigation water. It also prevented a lot of activities happening in the vineyards because once you flood irrigate, you can't actually then travel with your tractors and equipment on the vineyards. And in that time, we've seen that transition from flood irrigation to drip irrigation and a big reduction in the amount of water that's been put on. I think across the whole region, people have got smarter. I think not only with viticulture have they converted from flood irrigation to drip irrigation, but with the use of soil moisture monitoring devices and equipment, the improvements to soil structure, composting and those sorts of things, straw spreading, have also aided in improving soil moisture levels and reducing the amount of irrigation water that's going on. I think you notice across the region, not just in viticulture and drip irrigation, but in pivot and flood irrigation, people are more innovative. People are looking at efficiencies. They're not just continuing with the practices from 20 and 30 years ago. People are trying to work smarter to reduce the amount of water they're putting on, but still to be as efficient and be sustainable as they have been in the past. Viticulture in the Padthaway region is becoming more renowned now, and we're moving away from more of that commercially produced wine to more premium produced wine. So when you move in that direction, you actually apply less water to your vines. You're sort of trying to run them a lot differently than you are when you're producing for commercial grade wines and producing high yields, big crops. We're sort of lowering those yields and as a region really focusing on quality coming out of the region. So that in turn has reduced the amount of irrigation. Water's a hot topic anywhere, and people that are in the agricultural industry are very passionate about water. And I think we were lucky in this region as well, is we had a lot of historical data. I think we're in a region where monitoring of water levels, salinity levels and even water meters has enabled us to use a lot of that data to make good decisions. Going to that volumetric conversion has added security. It's given us an understanding of how much water we have to irrigate, in our case, vineyards. It's also, having in the first 2 years that bridging volume, it gave us some security to know that if it was going to be dry seasons, that we had a little bit extra in the first 2 years to help get us ready for that step into volumetric conversion. And also having the opportunity to carry over water from a good season, or 20% carry over from a good season to a tougher season is an advantage as well. I think a big cost, and we talked about this as a committee when we were first talking about going to volumetric, was the cost of water meters. And water meters aren't cheap items. It was lucky for us as an industry that growers had moved towards placing meters in well before this happened. So when you think about a grower that may have 10 irrigation bores and they've got to put in 10 water meters, which could be between $4,000 and $7,000, that's an enormous cost. And what I've noticed has changed since the implementation of the water allocation plan is people now will come and talk to you about parts of the water allocation plan itself, where previously, before we went down that path, people just thought water was a right and that's their attitude. Now you see people really studying up on the water allocation plan, talking about bridging volumes, talking about carryover amounts. So they're aware that it is a good thing for this whole region to be volumetric now, and it's up to individuals to better understand the best ways to improve how sustainable they want to be out of what they know from the water allocation plan, what they can learn. I think it was definitely something that this region needed, and I think in the long run we came up with something that was unique to Padthaway, something that was unique to the 3 irrigation activities, flood, irrigation and pivot, which in my personal opinion, I think all 3 irrigation activities, people were happy with their outcomes. So it could have been a lot worse and it could have been a lot differently done. So I think what we eventually came up with was a good thing for this region.
What the other show?